I'm curious. After the week we've gone through, what are your thoughts? What are your takes on the situation? Are you comfortable where you're at? Do you still look at it and say, it ain't gonna happen to me? Or did any of this, any of the weather phenomenon, move your barometer, so to speak, in any way? I mean, me personally, I've gone quite a long time without being touched. So for us to have a power outage, no matter how brief, it pretty much was confirmation of why I do what I do and why I say what I say. But I'm curious though. I know most people who have gone without such incidents really look at it as something that is far off. But I know a lot of places that normally get bypassed when we have adverse weather. Some of those places, man, they got shook a bit. And if you look at the news in totality, there are several places that are still suffering from, what I would call unusual weather occurrences. Now, if we look far back as Helene and the Texas historical freeze, and then we look over now at this historical flood in Indiana, look, if someone had told me, I'd have been like, nah, because these are all places that you really don't associate with the type of weather that actually they suffered from. So I want to share something with you guys. If I could start over, or should I say, if I had to start over, and my coin was limited, not that it isn't, but I mean, if I was starting over, and I just had, a very modest amount of money to work with, I would probably buy, as far as backup power, probably the Duracell power source again. And I know you guys are going to ask me why. Why would you buy that thing with all of the current offerings? Because it's got a modified sine wave. And of course, if you connect that to some of the most sensitive modern equipment, you run the risk of damaging it. Well, the reason why is because it offers a whole lot of capability for a very small price. The batteries are replaceable, and you can daisy chain. Now, if I'm going to be completely honest, the Titan that I'm so crazy about is a better version of it. It's an original version, but they kind of follow the same philosophy. They both allow you to add additional batteries, whether they be proprietary or not. And the flexibility that that gives you, especially if you're trying to save money, that's almost unmatched out here. Now I know that there's been a lot of hacks that you can do that with just about any of them, but it's not always as easy. And I would be at this stage of the game, I'd be really, really, really careful about buying uh, some of the offers that are on the market, simply because I feel like quality control is, well, it's not always the first priority. I'll say that. But if I had to start over, it would still probably be one of my first plays. And if I was going to buy a used solar generator, I probably would go with maybe still with the EB240, man. I mean, the 150 is fine, but the 240 gives you a lot more capacity. As far as lighting, I'm gonna say it again: get yourself a headlamp. It's unmatched, and you're gonna need a weather radio. I don't care what kind you get, but you just need something that's dependable. And I think if you have those three things, you can build around it. At a slow but a cumulative pace to where as the season changes, you can kind of gear up. And like as winter approaches, you could get yourself a Mr. Buddy heater, and you can kind of stack your propane canisters. A lot of people say they plan on running the larger barbecue size propane tanks, and that's cool too. They have a hose that you can buy with that. But I know some people are up in age and their mobility's challenged. So if that is the case, and you have to settle for the small, I think they're like 1 ounce or 2 ounce, whatever it is, propane canisters, then that's what you got to do. And you can find them on sale, especially off season. That would be one of my next additions. I would stay away from a lot of the gear you see out here because a lot of it's just not usable, man. You know, the knives you see, and I don't know about all that. I get a phone charger though. Um, I wouldn't worry myself with a bunch of flints and fire starters. Maybe buy yourself a lighter. Keep it in your pocket. Keep it somewhere you know you can find it. I keep it really simple, and I would definitely get myself some lanterns. Here we have multiple, but I think there's a lantern we have that's called Vont, VONT, or something along those lines. It's in one of my videos and my play history. So if you're interested in that, you can go back and check it out. They're pretty inexpensive, but something along those lines where you can have maybe 2 or 3 and pretty much spread them throughout the house. And those are just your basics. Get yourself a cook plate, or get yourself a propane stove, or I did a video about stoves that you can use to cook inside. You might want to take a look at that. I just think it's important to have just enough gear to cover your basics, where you have a little electricity, some communications, some lighting, some heat, a generator to run a fan to stay cool, and some extra water and food. And I think that's enough for most situations. Especially if money's tight, and if it gets beyond that, then hey, you can only do what you can do. You do as much as you can do, and that's what prayer is for. I just wanted to come back and put that out there, man, because I know that a lot of people right now are struggling financially, and things look kind of strange right now. And from my perspective, through my kaleidoscope, I don't know what's on the horizon. I don't know if it's going to get better. But one thing I do know is it can get worse. So on that note, say goodbye to the puppies. And you guys be good, man. Be kind to one another. And I'm going to get back with y'all later.